Hey guys, what's up? It's Annie. So today I'm going to be doing a setup video. As well as showing you guys my setup itself, I'm going to also be showing you how I set up my board, just so you guys can pick up on some tips that I find really helpful when setting up a board in order to make it look as crisp and clean as possible. I've just filmed a Flint unboxing, but let's go ahead and get started. So for my deck, I'm going to be riding this Flint Turquoise Logo Series deck. For tape, I'm going to be riding my Cartwheels tape that I got in my last Cartwheels package. I set it up on my Beast Pants deck and I really liked it, so I'm going to use it for this deck too. For trucks, I'm going to be riding some Y trucks, and they have some gnarwood bushings in there. And for wheels, I'm going to be riding these oak wheels. They are the flat face vibration wheels. So yeah, that's going to be my setup. Now let's move on to the tools you'll need. I'm using Y trucks, and I obviously have a Y trucks tool, but if you don't have a Y trucks tool, I still recommend trying to find one, because it's still very useful even if you were using Phillips hardware trucks, and I'll explain later why. But I also have this Phillips head screwdriver, which I use for these Y trucks because somehow it fits the screw. And in terms of sanding down the grip, I recommend trying to get a flat file, or if you have a razor, you can also use that. Scissors work as well. You can use the edges if they're sharp enough, or you can use the inside as well. And another thing I recommend getting is some sellotape, but if you can get your hands on duct tape, that is a huge bonus, and I recommend trying to find some if you can. Another thing I recommend getting is some fine grade sandpaper. This is 150, but I also have 121. If you don't have sandpaper, just some plain paper works as well. You just have to do a bit more work. Alright, so now you have all the tools, let's go ahead and get started. Some people like to set up their trucks first and then put the tape on top. I prefer putting the tape on first. I'm not going to be doing any designs on this board, but when I do designs, I usually cut it out using my razor and a ruler. It just makes it a lot easier than using scissors, and you can get a more precise cut. So one tip I will give you if you're setting up a deck and you want to do designs is cutting it from the backing rather than the front, because the front is really sticky, whereas if you cut at the back, even though it's sticky, you still have the outline of the paper to cut through, and once that is cut through, it makes cutting into the tape itself a lot easier. So if you have your file, go ahead and start sanding. This step is pretty straightforward, I think. If you're cutting your grip with a file, I recommend making sure that you're doing it sort of as straight as possible and not at an angle, because what that can do is it creates like a slanted outline on your grip, and it doesn't look very nice. So if you're using a razor, it doesn't matter too much because your razor is really thin anyway. Alright, so this grip job was actually pretty clean, but if it's not clean enough or not as clean as you want, just go over it again. And then what you do is you take your sandpaper that I was talking about, or just regular paper, and you just go over the edges. Sometimes grip leaves some really sticky residue. Taking the sandpaper to the grip removes the sticky stuff on the side. Alright, next is putting the holes through, and this is what I find helpful to have a Y trucks tool. The thing is with the Y trucks tool, because it's pointed and then it's tapered, it makes it easier to poke the holes through and then get extra bits out. What you really don't want to end up with is holes where when you put the screw in and then you tighten it up, it looks like the grip is swallowing your screw. What you want is a hole that's like this one rather than this one. And one way of getting rid of the residue is sort of finding the parts of the countersunk parts and pressing your tool down and through. It makes your setup look a lot cleaner, I'm sure there are other ways of achieving what I'm doing with a normal screwdriver or the tech duck tool. I just find it a lot easier. I've tried doing it with a tech duck tool, and if you have one of these, like, it also helps, like the needle file. And you can use the sellotape to clean this up, but I can just sort of use my hands and fingers. What you will want your sellotape for, though, is cleaning up the grip job. You can just sort of go over the top and clean up a bit. Another thing that also helps with cleaning up the edges is taking your tape and going over the edges like that and pulling, and that will take off some of the residue grip. You can do this part now, or you can do it obviously like once you've cut the grip out. I just do it now because this is when I take the tape out to clean the top off. You don't need to worry too much about cleaning off the top. It's just so that the dust or extra bits of grip don't get stuck in your trucks. Now what I would do is obviously just put in the screws and put your trucks on. So what I do once I'm done with setting up the trucks is I take a piece of duct tape. This is for grip that doesn't really break in too quickly, or even for grip that breaks in relatively quickly but you want it to break in even quicker. With FBS I do this like a lot, but what I do is I take this duct tape and I put it on top, and I just lightly, and I stress lightly, press down like that and then pull it up, and then do the same here. And you can sort of repeat this a couple of times. At the beginning when I first started doing this method, I've completely just like ruined the grit tape on top. So when you first do the first few strokes, don't do it too hard. If you don't have duct tape though, you can do it with sellotape, but you have to do it for a little longer, or you can just do it the old school way and break in your tape like the normal person. And there you have your setup, and it should be super clean. So yeah, hopefully this helped a bit. Sorry if it was a bit long. Oh, and another thing, I'm going to be doing a Q&A, maybe, if you guys have enough questions. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, or you can comment on my newest Instagram post. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.